Call the meeting to order, excuse me. And please remind you to turn your phones to silent or vibrate so it won't interrupt the meeting. And if you address anyone on the microphone tonight, please speak directly into the microphone, us included up here, so that we can record it properly on our tape. So if you'll please stand with me and we'll do the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance, please. Lord, thank you for bringing us together tonight. We have a wonderful town that you provided us with. We have wonderful people that work for our town and wonderful people that live in it. Please let us work together to the benefit of all and make this even a better place to live in as we go about our daily lives. We're thankful for our first responders, our police and fire, our parks and rec, and our town hall staff, and our public works. So thank you for all that you provided us for, and let us use it wisely. In your name we pray. Amen. Okay, so thank you all for coming out tonight. We have a lot of police representation here, so that's always nice. So the first order of business is public comment, and this is where people are allowed to sign up for 3-minute speaking time for anything that's on the agenda. And I think we don't have anyone for that. That's for the second part of the meeting. We have a public comment. So we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda and consent items. And so these items are generally voted on unless somebody wants to pull something out of it. As one item, we only have regular meeting minutes for March 10th. Is there a motion to approve or to discuss it?
So moved.
To approve? Yeah, to approve it? Okay. Yeah, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so there's no nays on that, so we'll move to the appointments, recognitions, and presentations. And the first one will be the Teacher of the Year Award, and that's Mr. Kason Justice. And I wish we were related, but I guess we're not. not that we know of. It's what a coincidence. So I'd like to read a proclamation for you over here, so we'll just step over. So this is going to take a little while, but thank you for everything you do for our school systems and our children. So thank you so much for that. Whereas Kason Justice, a dedicated history teacher at Swansboro High School in Onslow County, has been named the 2026 Burris Welcome Fund North Carolina Teacher of the Year at a statewide award ceremony held on April 24th, 2026. Whereas Mr. Justice is a National Board Certified Teacher and North Carolina Teaching Fellow and a dedicated educator with more than 13 years of classroom experience, simplifying excellence in teaching and leadership. Whereas through innovative and engaging instructional approaches, including hands-on activities such as archaeology simulation and interactive historical lessons, Mr. Justice inspires students to actively engage in learning and develop confidence in their abilities. Whereas Mr. Justice demonstrates exceptional commitment not only to the classroom,
They're gonna make me do it a lot. Something like that. No, my wife was reminding me today that 14 years ago today, we graduated from NC State. And the first place that offered me a job was Swansboro High School. And I was desperate back then, and I said, great. I was like, we played baseball there a long time ago. But ever since then, this place has done nothing but love me and nurture me and treated me as one of their own. This place is just like family to me. And so a lot of your kids I was able to teach like over the years or even coach. I'm so blessed to be here. I want to be here as long as I can be, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Now, where are you from? I'm from Thank you so much. And if you'll come on and let the board give you recognition. Okay, so we've got another one, and that's for the like to bring you guys up or the ladies up with you? So if y'all are joining us up here, and we're very fortunate to have such a good group of people looking out for our town. So thank you so much beforehand, and feel free to say if you have any questions. Okay, so this is for a proclamation for our police officers, and it says, whereas Congress and the President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officer Memorial Day, and the week in which the 15th falls as National Police Week, and whereas the members of the Swansboro Police Department play a central role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Swansboro, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agencies, and that members of our law enforcement agencies recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the men and women of the Swansboro Police Department and all agencies of Onslow County and its municipalities are to be commended for their dedication and service to the people in particularly dangerous circumstances every day. Now, therefore, I declare, and the Board of Commissioners hereby call upon all citizens and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational institutions to observe the week of May 10th through 16th, 2026 as National Police Week, with appropriate services in all of our people doing law enforcement officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to the responsibilities of rendering a dedicated service to the community, and in so doing have established for themselves a memorable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. Further, we call upon all citizens of Swansboro to observe May 15th, 2026 as Peace Officer Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made remarkable sacrifices in service to the community or have become disabled or performance issues, and let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our law. This day is May 15th. So thank you guys and ladies so much for everything you do. I know.
Now, I would just like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, and the board for your continued support that you give our agency. Also like to thank the community that's always out there nonstop, supporting us. I see it whenever I ride through a neighborhood or if I get out walking around in a business or just out in town eating lunch, they come up and say thanks. But most importantly, this group right here and the other individuals that weren't able to make it here tonight, this is the backbone of our agency right here. They're the guys that are out there every day, every night getting the job done. And that's who we should be appreciating right there. Thanks, guys. Coach Sheehan, I guess he was one of those other pirates, what I'm guessing.
Oh, no. So also, I'm gonna put Dwayne on the spot a little bit. Didn't you guys, you just got a new church going or something, didn't you? Or a new church building? So not only is he out there protecting, but I guess you're preaching or something. All right. Okay, so that concludes that part of the meeting. So the next is public hearing, which we have no public hearing tonight. So we'll skip right past that to business non-consent. And that would be Mr. Barlow, our town manager, would talk about the street resurfacing contract.
Yes. Good evening. The item for your consideration is the 2026 street resurfacing contract. We have a contract, proposed contract there for your consideration from Onzo Grading and Paving to provide paving, patching at various services around the town of Swansboro. Each year, we try to put a small paving contract together using the limited Powell bill funds that we get for street maintenance. We get a total of about $130,000, and we typically do about a $75,000 paving project. The problem we've had at least in the recent past that I'm aware of, is just to generate interest from any paving contractor. That's really a small paving job to mobilize and to perform that kind of work at various locations around town. So Onzo Paving Grading has been a good provider for us over the last several years, giving us good service, and they're willing to provide what we need. It's hard to get larger contractors to mobilize down here for something like that. So fortunately, the value of the project is below any threshold where we're required to formally bid it, so we can do it on a normal basis. It is on a unit price basis, so we can adjust it up or down depending on what they actually find when they get out there. And you see the list of on the back page of the memo of the areas that we're looking at to either mill or to resurface or to patch for a total of $86,647.95. That would be my recommendation to award that to Onzo Paving.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for John as to what projects? And you've got it on the second page. There's 4 basic projects, I think. So anybody have any questions or discussion about it? All right, so then with that, no discussion or questions, I guess I'd get a motion to proceed with the contract.
So move to approve.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So that passes unanimously, so we'll proceed with also paving and grading. Oh. So I guess, John, you'll stay there and we'll go into our budget discussion now, section of the meeting. Is that where we're at? Yeah.
All right. As the title indicates, the title of presentation is Preliminary Draft Budget Fiscal Year 26-27 Budget Scenarios. Back in February when we started to meet, have discussions about what the budget would look like. My presentation tonight does not match what I thought it would be at all. The last couple of weeks, especially, things have changed dramatically. And every year, we do our budget. I always say there's something that is unique that we have to deal with as we develop the budget. And obviously beyond the typical, there's more requests than there are revenues. That's something we deal with all the time. But this year's was completely different. That in Onslow County, there was every 4 years they do a revaluation. Back in February, we talked about that, is how we're going to deal with the new valuation numbers once we get them. And when we did get them, we saw that we went from about $723 million in our current year valuation taxable property to $1.4 billion. So we've gone up $273 million. The problem is, several weeks ago, there was a bill introduced in the North Carolina General Assembly, House Bill, Senate Bill 889, to put a pause on towns or cities, counties that were going through a reevaluation effective January 1, 2026, to put a pause on those new values for 1 year, which essentially is going to make you use current year figures. That's 700 million versus 1 billion figure. That's a significant change, especially when you're trying to predict a budget for next year, what your revenues are going to look like. That's a big difference. So which set of numbers do you use? So the Senate passed that Bill 889 last Wednesday, I believe. They have passed it, and of course it has to go to the House and pass the House before the governor can sign it into law. That has not happened. I was told this afternoon, I believe, that the House.
So I just got word that it'll probably be next week before
okay. That's right. It'll be next week before the House gets. So that's even throws more of a curveball in as far as, do we even consider looking at what could possibly happen in the event that it didn't become law and you could use the valuation numbers effective January 1, 2026. You'll see in a moment, I'm going to suggest that you probably need to be conservative, and we have some scenarios there to show you how we can do that. There's several slides. First, let me just thank Sonia. Has just been crunching numbers like crazy for the last several weeks. Our last budget session that we had with you all, you asked for scenarios based on the new assessed value, the new numbers of what at various levels of tax, property tax, what it might look like in generating revenues, and what could we do with those revenues as far as capital, personnel, capital reserve, projects, that kind of thing. And we were going to show you. And that was the plan, was to give you that presentation tonight. Well, now there's another scenario that we need to just think about. We're probably going to have to go back and use prior 2026 valuation numbers, the same numbers essentially you used to do the budget, the current year that we're in. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on scenarios, but let me just give you, obviously there's some significant drivers in the overall budget, and they're still there that we're going to have to deal with, whatever set of valuation numbers that we use. There's a 1.35% cost of living increase for all employees, as well as a possible 1.35% merit increase, and includes spike in retirement. North Carolina Retirement System, Orbit, is increasing our employer contribution 0.75% that we're required to pay into the system based on their salary. Property and liability from the league, we're expecting a 10% rate increase from them. That's in the budget. Our group health insurance is rate increase of 7.6, a lot less than we had anticipated. We had got a very good introductory rate from Blue Cross, but looks like we had a really good year as far as experience, and so we're individually rated. So the increase for those numbers are significantly less, but still it's going up at least 7.6%. Land use, we had discussed in our budget about updating the land use plan. We had plugged in $100,000 in a number of the scenarios. Parks and Rec had requested a part-time pay increase. New person, again, and these are all just the lump sum from all the department heads making requests. And new personnel costs of $431,315. The the capital improvement plan, $254,500, and capital outlay, $723,500, using loan proceeds, grants, capital reserve, and some general fund. All right, so again, this is going back. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. You have these slides in your packet, but what Sonia did, I like the way she laid this out in the table, is just looking at if revenue neutral in a three-vow year, what would it take to lower our tax rate from the current 35 to be revenue neutral, essentially lower the rate but generate the same amount of revenue the current year because you have more property value tax. Revenue neutral would be 26.28 cents. So if we implemented, again, all those things I just read out to you in the previous slide, at those various taxes, those levels, at 31 cents, so you see the revenue a little over $3 million, we're still going to be having an impact to the budget of $467,000 and so on. At 35 cents, it's $863,000. So you see the effect there. Again, that's just showing those same numbers graph. So as if you left it the same, that's what makes you understand. Left it the same, let's say at 35, you're going to generate almost $900,000 more in revenue. You generate about the same at 26. Again, the new calculation on if we did use the new valuation numbers of $1 billion, $4 million would be, 1 penny would be $100,460, and our tax collection rate is about $99,000. These are the scenarios that I was talking about. We thought we would spend some time on, but I don't really feel like we need to go through all 6 of them in detail. Again, this is using the revenue neutral rate. If we implemented all those requests from the department heads, new personnel, 3 firefighters, 2 police officers, 1 rec coordinator, all the capital outlay, $723,000, all the requests for capital improvement plan, capital reserve, $238,000, $100,000 for the land use plan update. At 26 cents, if we may drop the tax rate back to revenue neutral, we would have a deficit of $1,406,000. How are we going to make that up? Again, as you increase the tax rate, leave the tax rate where it is at 35 cents, we still have a net deficit of $542,000 that we would have to make up somewhere. And we just continue to go through those scenarios, looking at how we could get closer to a balanced budget of 0 fund balance appropriated. Scenario 2, the only thing we dropped out was the rec coordinator, had a small impact. Scenario 3, we dropped out 1 firefighter, left 2 police officers, left the outlay, and just plan the same. And you see the impact is smaller, but we're still have deficits trying to balance the budget, even with using the new valuation figures. We're still $390,000 short if you left the tax rate at 35 versus dropping back to 26.28. All right, scenario 4. Again, we're getting closer. That's 1 firefighter, 1 police officer, for a total annual salary of $146,000. Again, moving in the capital outlay, capital improvement plan, and land. 5, down to 1 police officer, leaving the other items the same. Item 6, pretty significant reduction to the request from the department heads, but at 35 cents, it would be balanced. You would have zero of appropriation of fund balance, balance the budget. Reduced it to revenue neutral, you still have a shortfall of $863,000 you have to make up somewhere. But at that level, scenario 6, there's no new personnel, some capital outlay, some capital improvement, $159,000, and land not funded. All right, 7. So that brings us to what I had mentioned earlier just a minute ago about House Bill, Senate Bill, House Bill 889. What it might mean to us is if we're one of those 12 counties that have to pause the revaluation for 1 year, use the old figure, at 35 cents, we are short $753,000. We have to plug with fund balance to balance the budget, which is essentially about where we are, what we had to do this year. I think we used $773,000. So it's essentially the same number, again, because we're using the same figures, but we are not funding in this scenario any new personnel. Some capital outlay at $304,000, but that capital outlay is not a direct. If we cut out $300,000, we've cut our shortfall in half. It's not. Most of it's loans and grants. Very little of it's actual fund revenue. No funding to the capital improvement plan and not funding the land. All right, but if we go back to the baseline using current year valuation number, $723,500,000 is what the figure would be. 1 cent equals $73,480. Our tax collection rate is $72,429. So you see, 1 penny doesn't generate a whole lot of revenue. Those figures. And that summarizes what the department heads had requested, the full impact, $431,315 for the new personnel, 3 firefighters, 2 police officers, and a rec coordinator. And there's your capital outlay. That's how we come up with $723,500. Police department, $152,000, 2 vehicles, light finger scan, drone replacement, and radio replacement. Fire, $333,000, brush truck, boat equipped for the new engine, training props, and boat launch. Public service director truck, downtown facilities, $44,000. Christmas tree, floating kayak launch replacement, fire department boat launch, 50% of that. Parks and Rec, $102,000, municipal tot lot vehicle, and emergency management, $42,500, snow plow and message board. So if we go back to scenario, now let me go one more. In the set aside for capital improvement plan, that's money put in capital reserve. Those requests are $238,250. This how it's broken down. Fire department, $25,000 for apparatus and equipment. Police department, $23,000 set aside for police vehicles. Public works, $16,250. Vehicles and equipment. Parks and Rec, $74,000 for various items, equipment, park equipment. Tennis court resurfacing, waterfront implementation. went back to this slide because at 753 is, if, there are some, what we were looking for tonight was just some guidance from you all to what to focus on as far as building a budget on what scenario. Our recommendation obviously would be to let's be conservative and use, which I think we're going to have to use the current year, previous year tax figures at 35 cents. It is. I hope it's temporary, that we're not doing the same thing a year from now. Now, you can use your general fund money for any purpose you want to make an acquisition. Now, if you if you move it to capital reserve, it has to stay in capital reserve. You won't be able to take it back out to do something for non-capital.
Can you hear me now? All right. I'm going to say this again. The blowhards out of Raleigh caused this big storm for us. It doesn't matter if you come through here with a natural disaster and rip shingles off our roofs and stuff. We still got to dig into a general fund. This is the same thing. This is man-made. They're creating, they're shooting themselves in the foot from the municipalities. I don't get it. But I don't know if the board would, but I'm going to challenge the board to keep a capital investment strategy on track. You know, decide who you guys, it's up to you at the end of the day. Don't expect me to vote for something that says, no, we're just going to push that aside and fight the bullet again harder next year when it's worse.
I understand where you're coming from, and we do need to set aside money if we can. We were also getting ready to go into hurricane season too, so I hate to.
We have not, the last two budget years, we have not done any set aside to capital reserve.
But we had talked about starting.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it's gonna, in the future, when you have to make these large acquisitions, it's not gonna be there. So yes, you really should.
What about that $250,000?
Right, you've got 250 you're not gonna use this year, but Sonia hasn't done the final numbers yet, how we're gonna finish up this year, but we did appropriate $773,000 to balance the budget. You're not gonna use that 250, but you are going to use fund balance this year. Normally, we put away $150,000, $200,000 into fund balance. No, that's not gonna happen this year, even with that 250 going away. Not using it. We'll go back to fund balance, but we're actually gonna use fund balance this year.
Cautionary tale where this gets you. Reading the Times Carteret newspaper. There's a certain town a few miles east of here that stopped thinking strategic. And their fiscal picture doesn't look good at all in the near future or in the long term for that matter. I don't know who makes decisions down there, but that board ought to, I guess that's decades in the making. But that's the mistake. You begin to go wrong. I'm seeing that first errant step off the path here. So if I could give you anything in our power to prevent that, we work the numbers, do something. But those things that the police and fire department people get into, they're not wish list items. They're there to provide a service. We're talking about these. We have an aging community on top of it. Look at our demographic. I am not doing this on the backs of safety and risk to that demo. Just let you know this. You need to make that number right there appear in capital investment plan as being partially funded, or whatever else it is. You can do it to the tune of 75%. Give me something in that category. That's all I'm asking.
So you like scenario 7 is what you're saying, but you want to add something to the fund balance. Anybody else?
I'm with Doug. I like scenario 7, but there's different ones or
what we need to do now tonight, give Sonia and John guidance. Which way? line items and stuff can be debated later. We got more meetings with that. All right, Sonia?
So this is just the direct.
Correct. So I'm gonna make a motion. We have to move forward with 7.
And then we can talk about the line items for
Exactly.
funding capital improvement plan later on. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not excluding it. Did you have something you wanted to say, Sonia?
So the purchasing deadline is May 15th. That's the reason why I can't really give good projections. But once that deadline is here, at your next meeting, I'm gonna be crunching numbers again, and we should have a good idea of where we're gonna stand by the end of the year. And then we can make decisions from that. But right now, I can't do anything. So that's what our next meeting's gonna be about.
And just so everybody's kind of clear on it, that 700,000 basically more or less is something that kind of carries over from year to year for the last several years that we picked up. And so it's not something out of the ordinary.
Well, here's the big thing. Which one do you prefer, Sonia?
Which scenario?
Yeah.
Well, we have no choice but to go to 7
Thank you.
Yeah.
at this point.
What, Wayne, do you have any?
Just a comment or two. Sonia, first, thanks for putting all these numbers together. I know it was an easy task. Thanks for spending 30 minutes of your time last Friday walking me through all the scenarios and talking about some different options. I know a couple of us have been able to talk about this one-on-one. I agree scenario 7 is the one that seems to be most realistic given the political environment that we're operating in right now. I think scenario 4 also has some merit if the Senate and the state, the House, what have you, doesn't come to some sort of decision. I think scenario 4 with the opportunity to address new personnel, capital outlay, capital improvement plan, and a potential tax rate reduction is one that deserves some scrutiny as well. So scenario 4 and scenario 7, and to Commissioner Eckendorf's point, all about looking out ways that we can squeeze money into a capital improvement plan. I think that's important. But with that said, I don't think we should get in the habit of spending $773,000 annually. We've talked about that.
Just keep in mind, we have a fund balance policy.
Exactly. So we can't go below 50%. And I'd be interested to know what is the number that would take us to 50%? Not that I want to go there, because I want us to have a healthy fund balance because of some of the unknowns that we've talked about. But again, to the point others have made, I think scenario 7 is the way we need to really take a hard look at. But I wouldn't discount scenario 4 in case things don't happen.
Scenario 4 is ideal. Good, but
Agreed.
obviously that's not going to be. Kim, did you have something you wanted to?
No, the same thing. Got to work this out. Obviously, there's a lot of decisions got to be made. Sorry, you have to go through this.
Yeah, and the other issue is we have to have a balanced budget to you all by May 29th. That means everything has to be compiled, budget message, the whole budget, all that. So we have to really get this together.
All right, so I guess the clear consensus is 7 at this time. To proceed with 7. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that in our workshop, yeah. And
So our plan is to take 7, develop the the line item budget, have that ready for your look, discussion at 19th? 19th or the 20th, that we will have that next budget work session. So on the 29th, that we have something ready for public. You have to sit for 10 days prior to the public hearing, so that'll meet that standard for our June public hearing. There are 2 other, that was, I know Jennifer, that's not in the discussion. There's 2 other smaller funds I just want to make sure you're aware of. The Stormwater Enterprise Fund, that is the fund where we charge a residential customer $60 for a residential lot to provide regarding stormwater maintenance. So it will, $60 in the fees that we charge our commercial customers, $157,574. We're not recognizing that. And the other small enterprise fund that we have is the solid waste fund. Are some issues I'll make you aware of. It's been a number of years since we have adjusted the collection fees, solid waste, for garbage and recycling, but basically what all of it is, to GFL to collect that for us. And we do collect yard waste with our crews. For a number of years, we've been able to manage it at the current rate of $21.93 for residential collection and $36.50 for commercial collection. Since 18 and 19, we've eaten all the rate increases that our provider has given us. But fortunately, this year, as Sonia's been telling you every month, it's going to be close, it's going to be close. This year, see if revenues cover expenditures with the new rate increase we're getting from GFL for next year, it won't. But we are recommending $2.15 per month rate increase for residential customers, $3.59 per month for 2408 40.
Anybody have comments in regards to that?
John, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe either last year or the year before, the town covered for the increase of the residents wouldn't go up, right?
Did we get an increase last year?
In the contract that we have with GFL, they have a CPI index, it's built in the contract, it goes up every year. We've eaten it every year since 1819.
And GFL's really the only operation out there that does our kind of stuff that we need.
If we had any interest in the town west bid it out, GFL purchased in the previous.
Like waste management was it before? Yeah. And then there's several little smaller scale operations.
Yeah, but GFL pretty much the only game on the scale that, to serve the number of pickups that we have.
Right.
Yeah, I think we just renewed that contract.
I think we bought it. All right, so we all good with?
So we will go back to work on scenario 7 and have it balanced. I think we have it balanced next week.
Yep. And then we can get into some more detailed discussions about the budget, such as, carrying over to 700.
We'll get more details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And that workshop is open to the public as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. So anybody that wants to come is welcome to come to the budget workshop. Weren't we considering doing it at evening this time, so make it a little easier for everyone to attend?
Right now, we're looking at the 19th. That is the tentative date. We will have more confirmation on that probably tomorrow. If it's not the 19th, we'll reach out.
But thank you, John, for everything. So now we move into Elizabeth, actually.
So for your upcoming future agendas, for your May 26th meeting, you will have several approval or awards of contracts two for the public safety EOC and one for our audit contract. You will receive a fire service study update from Chief Randall, a presentation from the Salvation Army Bucket Brigade, and I also received confirmation that Principal Helen Gross will be presenting regarding a program she's working with, as well as your monthly financial report. Looking forward into June, we will have our public hearing for the budget for the 26-27 year and a monthly finance report. Other items for that month right now aren't determined, but does the board have any other items they'd like to bring up to schedule for future meetings?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, would it be beneficial to have any of our, if we could do it, and I don't know that we could even do it, have a state representative come and talk about this tax revaluation to the general public in our town? Is that appropriate to have a state representative come and do a presentation on what they've learned about this and process, or is that just fluff?
If they're available, we could ask
Yeah,
them to do it.
If I might could get somebody, I'm not sure, maybe not, but I think it might be beneficial to our citizens to hear it straight from the horse's mouth instead of it coming through us and things, you know how things kind of lose interpretation.
We could look into the possibility, see who's available to do that.
And
or who
again,
wants to.
it may not be something that can happen, but I should certainly would check on it.
We could check.
Anybody?
Thank you.
Thank you. So we don't have any items moved from consent. So we'll move now into public comment, the second session, which is up to 5 minutes for anything regarding anything not listed on the agenda. And so we have Mr. Worth Edwards right here. And if you'll step to the microphone and state your name and address, please, sir. And thank you for coming and speaking.
Thank you for having me. My name is Worth Edwards. I live at 123 Forest Lane. The reason I'm here, I just wanted to come and ask about the sidewalks. Over the past 5 years, I've read in the paper where we've received grants from the state, and that money's been set aside for sidewalks. And I read about a year ago that some engineering work had been done. So I know it's a small item compared to what we just talked about, but what about the sidewalks? How's that going?
Well, this right now is just comment section, so we can't really get into a question and answer. I apologize for that, but that's just the way it's structured. So your comments about the sidewalks are welcome. Anything you'd like to point out, or your concerns, or whatever you
Well,
like to bring.
thank you very much for correcting me on that. My concern is I'm afraid it's forgotten. It seems like that the money's been set aside, approved and everything, but I don't see anything going on. That's my concern.
And we can address that in our comments as we go into the next section. So we can address your concerns in our comments in the next section. All right, so that's the only one we have signed up for public comment, and thank you for commenting about that, because it is a big concern, sidewalks. Anybody else have anything they'd like to address tonight? All right, so we'll move now to manager comments, and that would be John.
A couple items I'll make you aware of. For some time now, we've been concerned about the grant, part of the grant funds we received from the state several years ago to help us with the construction of the BOC and the Public Safety Center. Well, we finally got confirmation that was passed into law that those towns that received those infrastructure funds from the state with the expiration date of June 30, 2026, we were extended one more year. All those agencies that were funded under that grant program will receive a one-year extension. So that $3 million is secure. Actually, we've used part of it to make land acquisition. But the remaining balance of those funds are a year. So I think now that we're working on a contract to actually go to design and construction, I think we're pretty secure there to not seek another extension of those funds. The Visitor Center, I don't know if you had a chance to go by the Visitor Center lately. The public services staff has done a great job preparing the outside, repainting. Looks really good. As far as the outside, the inside's coming along really well. Last week, the contractor called for all the rough-in inspections, and they've passed. So we're on track to get it finished. I would expect next 3 or 4 weeks we'll be finishing up that project. Hopefully have it open, and we'll need to plan a grand opening so we can enjoy the new facilities down there. And the last item, I just got an email this afternoon from DOT starting Monday the 18th and Wednesday the 20th. There'll be some lane closures at 24 and Norris. I've mentioned before that they're funding a pedestrian improvement project at that intersection. They're going to be putting the sidewalk and handicap ramps in at that location those 2 days, the 18th, not 3 days, 19th and 20th, to start that project. Good to see some notices going out on potential lane closures and delays during the week there. That's all I've got, unless you have any questions.
Like they were at Full House Road today?
They haven't, we haven't got any notice exactly when they're going to put that one. I know they've started down there, put some poles in. putting the infrastructure in.
Guessing that's for the crosswalk.
There will be a crosswalk at Phillips Loop and and at Norris. We've been told both those projects have been funded, and they're actually getting ready to start the one at North Road.
John, a question about the visitor center. Has it filtered down to the town yet? I had heard late last week from one of the county commissioners, one of our local county commissioners, Mr. Buchanan, that it looked like that money had been approved in their budget for us that we asked for. Haven't heard anything
We have
official?
not gotten word that money was approved, no.
Okay. Hopefully that word is followed. I got a phone call from him before he was leaving on vacation, and he came out, he said that looked like we were gonna get that money that we had asked for. I had assumed that information would follow on to the town and so forth. So,
Heard
The
that
official-
as
I'm sorry?
well. I think I heard that as well, but I don't remember exactly where I heard it from, but I don't know the validity of it.
Thought it was some good news.
Yeah.
I don't mind answering his sidewalk question if you want to get.
Sure, and,
Yes.
you know,
It's
there's
not a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's manager comments. Are good
Yeah,
time.
that's okay. Actually, it's something I'm pretty familiar with. We did reprioritize, a year or so ago, the sidewalk projects into 5 project areas. I think we started a number of years ago with 9, now we finished a number of them, we got it down to 5, in various locations around town. We did hire an engineer, he has finished the design of all the 5 project areas. Cost estimate was about $1.1 million to do all 5 projects. Unfortunately, we only have about $100,000 of which is state SCIF funds from the state infrastructure funds for that project a number of years ago. That's still sitting. We still have that money, so we're somehow we're going to have to find another $1 million to. We got the design. We know what areas we need to get easement because some of it's outside of the state right of way for the road. We're going on private property, so the next step would be to get easements from private property owners across their property to build the sidewalk. So just because we have a design and we have the funds, we're still going to need to get easements from property owners to cross the road. So that's the next step. And of course, obviously, we need to secure the funding to actually do it.
In regards to the funding, isn't there still opportunities to get additional funding from the state for that?
We have applied for funding, but we just haven't heard whether we're successful or not.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so we'll move into board comments, and we'll start down. Let's start with Wayne. You wanna go first?
Sure, absolutely.
You gotta get good first.
Thanks for everyone for being here. Thanks for staying here tonight. Thanks for those who tuned in from home. Mr. Justice, thanks again for all you do for our community and our students. Our town's a better place for having you in it. We do appreciate it. Looking forward to the public safety building discussion, next meeting. Really excited about hearing where we are with that and the way forward. I think a lot of people in the community are. And I know we're getting into the festival season. I know we had a Pirate Fest this past weekend, and we've got Arts by the Sea on Saturday, June 13th. So it's a great time of year to be in Swansburg. Thank you again.
First off, I want to say thanks to John and Sonia for getting up with me and bouncing our ideas of trying to figure out this budget thing. What's safe for the town? Yes, there's things we'd like to do, but if we go any other way besides the current scenario that we selected and that doesn't happen, well, we'd be in big trouble because we're spending money we don't have, and the state don't like that. So we can always adjust throughout the year. So it's not a big deal. For some reason this falls through, we can revert back to that plan per line item and just add as we go. Repeat for personnel or equipment, so I'm not too worried about that. But I know the staff put a lot of work into that. We all have. Appreciate board members, mayor. We're all trying to get this right. Thank you. I had three kids go through Swansboro High School. My wife's a retired teacher, so I I know what you go through, and I respect it. Your wife is a teacher, you're a teacher. So, yeah, we get it, and you're good, and like, again, thank you.
Is this on? First of all, congratulations to our Teacher of the Year. That sort of dedication is definitely part of the concern. And I hope that the students appreciate kind of dedication you show. I think they do. I think very popular. Just like to keep things general, not too specific. There's things that we do that is great. And there's things that we do that is that's how I categorize, my life. I hope that's how you because things that involve my safety, things that involve my family safety. Same thing with I have the same attitude I have with my family and I think there's ways we can find things that are discretionary. I know things aren't discretionary. I know we've got the HR side of the state employees. We don't get it fixed. Whatever made sense to me if I was a legislator, I would have, okay, if we do that, let's also cut the rate. Or let's cut the increase for the overhead the state pays. Let's not raise the cost. Let's raise the price. Let's not raise anything. Kind of follow what I'm saying here, hopefully. The discretionary items and non-discretionary items, we need to find what that means to you, what that means to me. All right? Love you, man. Thank you.
All right, Tim?
Thanks, everyone, coming out. Mr. Justice, you touched both my kids. It helps you out. My daughter graduated this past year with her master's degree, and my son graduated this weekend from UNC Charlotte. So it shows a testament of what you do as well as the other teachers, so I really appreciate your dedication. A week ago, got the opportunity, I know Chief Randall's not here, but got to sit in with his awards that he gave out. So we're in pretty good hands with our fire department, police department here. You see them running up and down the road every day. I appreciate the work they do. It really means a lot to this residents. The staff appreciate everything you do. And obviously this budget thing is not an easy issue, but at the end of the day, we're trying to least burden to our residents. That's what we're trying to do. So appreciate everybody coming in.
Thank you for everybody that came out tonight. Of course, sidewalks are always a priority. We did not forget. Mr. Justice, John, Sonia, yeah, y'all been through the ringer. A few more weeks. Chief, thank you for everything you do.
Well, it's a stressful time of year, so especially for our town, trying to work out our budgets. A little doubly stressful this year with the environment of things going on with tax revaluations on property and whatnot. So it makes a lot of uncertainty. So these guys have been working a little bit of extra time trying to figure out which is the best way to go. So thank you guys so much for that. And again, let me echo again, Mr. Justice, I love your last name, and thank you for being Teacher of the Year and representing our town so well. It's commendable, and my wife was in education for 31 years, and I think she still misses it, but she was at Queens Creek Elementary. So, touching on what Tim said, the Swansboro Firefighters Association gave out their awards. It's a great, I think it's their first year that they've formed this time. They are selling T-shirts with two different nice logos on the back of them if anybody'd like to purchase one to help fund some of the stuff that they like to do. And they have a Facebook page with a QR code on it that you can go to as well if you wanted to donate. So I would strongly urge everybody to do that. there is a meeting tomorrow, no, Thursday for Onslow County. So if you have any questions, my phone number is on the website. If you, anything you would like me to bring up at the meeting, feel free to give me a call. And my email as well, if you'd rather email. So that will be a countywide meeting with the county manager, town managers, and mayors. So that's a good communication tool we have to keep communication open with the county. Also, speaking to that, on Friday, Senator Ted Budd's district rep for this area, Blake Belch is his name, will be coming, and we'll be meeting with him, talking about funding and what maybe he might can do on the federal level for us, not just the state level, but the federal level. And of course, we talked about in the past, Don Davis on the other side of the aisle came through a few weeks ago, and we had the opportunity to talk to him and present our needs to him as well. And he's hopefully working with Tom Tillis's office on seeing, we may not get anything out of it, but it surely doesn't hurt to put our name in the hat. So sidewalks would be a good thing. Stormwater, our infrastructure on our stormwater is pretty rough, as being an older town. So it's constantly on our mind to ease your mind to some extent. We're constantly thinking about sidewalks and infrastructure and whatnot. Memorial Day service is coming up I think it's the 25th, and it's at Bicentennial Park, and our Military Affairs Committee with the Chamber, local chamber, does a great job with that. So I would encourage everybody to come out to that too. They have the truck out there with the big flag hanging, and it's really a nice, intimate ceremony, and that's at about 8 o'clock that morning. So feel free to come out to that. Anybody else have anything else they want to add? Okay, with that, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Because we do not have a closed session, so we got a motion. Is there a second to second adjourn? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so meeting is adjourned. And thank you all for coming out, and congratulations again, Mr.